John. It's been a while.
It has been since last year.
Yeah, too
So,
long.
too long. We've had sickness and weather
Mm-hmm.
and weirdness. And
Yeah.
so it's good to be back.
Yep. We'll be back. We've been uh, getting this HVAC project going.
Hmm.
I don't know what that means for the studio space. Comfort should be good, but volume, hopefully it's quieter.
Yeah, those split systems tend to be quite
Yeah.
a bit quieter.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping for that.
Well, that and during the summer, because we have that evil humidity here in
Yes.
Maryland,
Yes.
that'll knock that way down.
Yeah, one of my guitar students was telling me that it should be a lot drier.
Yeah.
In
Yeah, yeah, that's like running the air conditioner. It's like running the defroster in your car.
yeah,
Yeah, you're sucking all the water out of the air, and that's
yeah,
all these instruments will be happier.
yeah, yep. Yeah, I do try to keep these instruments, especially these two, which are what do you call them? Carved tops. This
Mm-hmm.
one and this one. I don't know if those. Yeah, they both show up in the screen. Those are not plywood tops,
Right.
so they're susceptible to splitting, which would be fairly heartbreaking. It has happened to me in the past.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, aim for sort of 40 to 50% humidity.
Yeah.
50 is nice.
Yeah,
Everything seems comfortable there.
yeah. So if you do have some guitars like that, yeah, definitely like John said, keep the humidity at a good level range. So I've got a evaporative humidifier in here, really for that reason. Also for health, I think
Yeah,
it's not
it's
too
much,
bad.
and in the winter it lets you run the heat lower
Mm-hmm.
because it feels warmer.
Feels warmer. Yeah.
But yeah, I have some good friends who have separate rooms for their instruments
Mm-hmm.
that have, like a dedicated thermostat for the AC
Yeah.
and an evaporative, humidifier and the whole thing, because they might be sitting on 20, 30, 40 instruments.
Yeah. Yeah, and some of the music stores have those too. They'll have a special room. I'm not sure they always are doing the right thing with them, because sometimes you walk in there and you're like in a sauna or something.
Yeah, they turn up a bit. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's honestly 45 to 50% is
Yeah,
a
because
really
you don't
good
want
place.
to warp your instrument either with too much
Right.
humidity.
Yeah,
So,
it'll literally get soggy
yeah.
and start to move around. It's like I have a Leduc bass.
Mm-hmm.
I can't play that bass at certain times of the year
Okay.
because
Yeah.
it's just moving so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where I've actually had to adjust the truss rods on the gig because
Yeah.
it's going.
Wow.
So it likes dryish weather.
Yeah.
So I save it for that.
Yeah, I notice. I'd say probably springtime and fall time is just like the instruments are just.
Everything's moving.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tell every customer, spring and fall, you're going to have to adjust it.
Uh-huh.
You can pay me to do it, fine,
Uh-huh.
or I can teach you
Right.
because it's not
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah.
Eighth of a turn, no more than a quarter of a turn at a time.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do.
Yeah.
There's nothing to be afraid of.
Yeah. And perfect time to mention that John does repairs, and I mean you've got stuff coming through your shop. You were telling me about Fedora bases and all
And
sorts
Drost and yeah. I got a LaFay in,
Okay.
which is the Dobrance brothers.
Okay. I don't know if I know that name.
Wow. I mean, these are
Super high
really
end.
spectacular basses. Yeah, and then I have some lower end stuff that comes in too. It's whatever the players like, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I do a lot of basses.
Yeah. And you're gonna help me out with my Mexican made
Mexican
jazz
Squire.
bass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get that one behaving.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it comes down to this is why I say when you buy an instrument, unless it's perfect off the shelf,
Mhm.
and that's going to be a short list.
Yeah.
And you're dropping 15 grand to get there.
Yeah.
First time, I say take it home, play it for a couple weeks, then take it to your local luthier
Mhm.
or tech, somebody you really trust, who your friends will send you to.
Yeah.
That's how to do it. And let them give it an initial setup.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you'd be amazed how terrible it is coming out of the factories. I mean, miserable setup.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then we were talking about like the Ibanez Prestige series
Yeah.
and even their premium series. Pretty much out of the box, they're ready to go.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean the guitars too. Yeah, I know little minimal things about especially guitar setup, but yeah, I mean it's an important feature. But yeah, I think once you get to a certain level, they should be somewhat set up.
yeah,
But
but
yeah,
and there's things can move. If it was
yeah,
an instrument made in the south of France is not going to be initially happy in the south of Arizona.
yeah, yeah,
So yeah, find a good local tech or luthier that you trust, that you could take it for an initial setup. Or if something and they can look at it and say, oh, okay, here's what we got going on. Here's what I'd recommend we do.
yeah.
Or maybe different strings or that sort of thing.
Hmm.
Because we've all tried every string ever made,
Yeah,
and we know.
yeah,
Yeah, it's good, but it's good to sort of have a baseline for your instrument.
yeah,
So get a perfect setup, and so you know what it should do
yeah,
and what it can do. So when it changes, and it will, you can adjust it and ask your luthier. They'll tell you how to adjust it. They'll tell you what to
yeah. What to do? Yeah, absolutely.
do. Yeah.
So we were talking about NAMM. So NAMM generally happens when in January,
January.
January or something.
End of January. It
Yeah.
is 3-ish days of utter chaos.
Yeah, it's always exciting.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, haven't been to it. I've known other guitarists who have, but I watched the YouTube videos on it.
Yeah, I didn't get to go this year. I used to live in Nashville, so I went to Nashville every year.
Okay.
I love going to NAMM. It's the biggest disease spreading event in North America.
Yeah.
They call it NAMthrax because everybody gets sick. But there is really cool stuff coming. I was talking, it's like Trickfish, lovely guys at Trickfish, a 3,000 watt bass head.
Wow.
That by all reports is just ridiculous and worth owning. Has all the functions, but it will run as 2 channels,
Okay.
which is way cool.
Yeah. So having that many watts, what are we trying to achieve? Super clean,
Super clean, high headroom.
high headroom. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because remember, a peak can be 10 times your sort of normal volume.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
And half the time, guys, they'll slapping and they're like, oh, when I pop a string, it sounds all crunchy.
Uh-huh.
It's because your amp gave up.
Yeah.
Your amp can do no more. It's gone into clipping,
Yeah.
and that's a good way to overheat a voice coil.
Okay. So you could really play aggressively,
Oh yeah,
and it's gonna deliver.
yeah, and you could put up a couple of, I think Trickfish they're not doing 810s. They do a vertical 410
Okay.
that looks really cool. That's
Yeah.
supposed to be. I've friends who I trust heard it and said it's just stupid.
Yeah.
So you could take a couple of those,
Yeah.
and if you need more than that, there better be a PA because you're playing a stadium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. When I try, some of the speaker emulations and things, I always tend to enjoy the 410s.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is about it,
There,
but it just kind of,
there's a thickness
yeah.
to the sound.
Mm-hmm.
I like some 410s.
Yeah.
Some make me angry because they're so not clear.
Uh-huh. I think that's part of what appeals to me about them.
They're kind of vague.
Yeah. It's just sort of like, it's kind of almost, I don't want to say smeared, but it's like, yeah, I mean, if the guitar feels a little bit wide, a little bit mysterious, and I kind of like that sound.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think for maybe more like classic recording, like jazz recording, maybe like the Dreamsville.
Mm-hmm.
I want it to be pretty forward sounding. Right. But I think when I'm going for like maybe like a Metheny-ish kind of sound, if it feels a little bit distant.
Yeah.
I kind of like that.
Yeah, I get that. That totally works.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. I see Trickfish and TC Electronics does this, and some other companies doing vertical cabinets.
Okay.
Which is great.
Yeah. So, yeah. What do you mean by that? I mean, I guess maybe it's obvious, but they're basically. So you have four speakers.
So you have
and they're all
four speakers
stacked vertically from
in a
one
straight
another?
line, straight
Okay.
up.
Oh, okay.
So you
Because
end up
they're
with
typically in a square.
in a square,
Yeah.
right? So what you end up with is a narrower cabinet,
Mm-hmm.
which for reasons of really advanced math
Okay.
means that you get a better wave front
Okay.
coming off the speaker. Well, if you look at very high-end home speakers, they tend to have these very complex shapes for the front baffle.
Yeah.
They're dealing with the launch
Okay.
off the front of the baffle. Very clean, very even.
Yeah.
So going vertical, you get that. The other thing is it's closer to your ear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I see, what's his name, Ron Carter, playing. I mean,
He's good.
maybe not in the distant past, but anything recently that I've seen, it's
Yeah,
the bass cabinet.
Epiphany
It's at
speaker.
head level.
Yeah. He had Nick Epiphany take one of his cabinets and put a speaker socket in it
Yeah. Okay.
so he can have it
Way up high, like
way up high.
and then you can hear it. Okay.
Yeah. So I love the idea of the vertical cabinets.
Yeah.
It just makes
That's
sense. So you could stack like two. A lot of guys will take a 210, two 210s and put them up on their ed.
Yeah.
Go this way,
Uh-huh.
turn off the lower tweeter. Seriously. It makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
It's a much cleaner sound.
Okay.
Because you are getting this really nice launch.
Yeah.
You're still moving a lot of air,
Uh-huh.
but you're moving a lot of air better.
Okay. Yeah, I was researching studio monitors. So for any of you that maybe record your guitar, and I would say at any level or interest, hobbyist to whatever level, you should be recording yourself. One for just you need that perspective of listening back without
Yeah.
playing at that moment. But anyhow, so I was researching speakers, and the Genelec, they were he's saying, it has that curved space so that somehow the sound waves.
Yeah, it's
Dispersed or something.
almost a shallow horn loading that Genelec does. Because the Genelec, it's one driver, it's a coax.
Yeah.
So you got the tweeter inside the woofer.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite speakers are like that.
Yeah.
My daily driver speakers at home are like that. But then you look at the cabinet, it's got that kind of rolled out.
Yeah.
So it's a very shallow horn.
Mm-hmm.
So a shallow wide horn reinforces certain parts of the low frequency.
Yeah.
But it does, and then you notice the edges are really rounded off.
Yeah.
Because if that's a sharp edge, the sound actually kind of scatters like light.
Mm-hmm.
So when it hits a sharp edge, it misbehaves.
Yeah.
So that's why you see these very rounded contours,
shapes,
which is
yeah.
why Genelecs work and are really, really good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can trust them. They translate well.
Yeah. Yeah. Sort of a dream speaker.
Yeah.
But,
And, the prices. That's like, I want a pair of ATCs
okay.
or the TAD studio monitors.
Uh-huh.
The TADs I like are $40,000 a pair.
Whoa.
Oh, they sound good.
Yeah.
Good ATCs, 20, 25,000.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, you're getting that's top level studio stuff. But you're getting something you can absolutely rely on every day. You know that whatever's coming out is the truth.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
we were talking about the some of the correction software for headphones and stuff. So I've been doing a little bit with that, and you do that.
Yeah, I do that. I use the Morphit from Tone Boosters, their correction circuit,
Okay.
because I buy her DT 770s and 990s built in, tell it this is what I'm using, and it adjusts them so that they're accurate.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I found that it does translate.
Mhm.
I can, and if you don't know what we mean by translate, it is something that you hear and then you hand it to somebody else, or somebody takes it, listens in their car
Yeah.
or at home on their stereo, and it sounds just as good to them as it did to you in the room.
Yeah.
It's never going to sound as great as it did in the studio,
Yeah.
which is too bad. But you want it to translate to the consumer end.
Yeah, because a lot of people, the way people consume media, they may just be on a phone with a single little tiny speaker that has no low end and
Right.
it's in mono.
That's it. Which, by the way, if you have a new iPhone, do you know the trick about going sideways on the iPhone?
No, I do not.
So it's like I have the iPhone 15 Pro Ultra Max, whatever they call it.
Uh-huh.
So if you're holding it vertically, in
Okay.
portrait mode, especially
Yeah.
if you're shooting video,
Okay.
it's mono.
Okay.
Turn it sideways on playback or recording video, all of a sudden it's stereo and it's almost surround sound. It's their new wide
I like that.
thing, and it's looking at your head. So as you move the
Mhm.
phone, it's adjusting the speakers.
Ah.
This is black magic, but it's really cool and it
Very
really,
cool.
really works well.
Okay.
So if you're shooting video with latest generation iPhone,
Uh-huh.
landscape,
Yeah, use landscape.
then you're in stereo.
Ah.
Go portrait, and nobody should shoot in portrait, honestly.
Well,
Do it
that's
in
what
mono.
TikTok and all those things have
Ye-
done to us. But
Yeah,
so they kind of forced us into that.
they did, but TikTok
It's
needs
kinda
to
too
go
bad.
away.
Yeah. I would have
So,
to
so
agree
yeah,
with
but
you.
shooting, you know, here's the thing: you can always dumb it down.
Yeah.
You can always take audio and dumb it down, but you can't smarten it up.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
so yeah, go with higher quality, then you step down, which is why it's like I record at usually 9632,
Okay.
just as fast as my equipment will go,
Okay. Cool.
because I can knock it down to 1644.
Okay. Yeah.
But if I upsample, it doesn't sound. You
Yeah,
you
so you're not
can't
gonna-
reclaim stuff that's
Yeah,
lost.
you're not gonna really get that. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. So, let's see. Any guitarists, basses you got on your radar? I know we talked about
Matteo
Matteo
Mancuso.
Mancuso. He is the
He's an alien. He really, really is. It is stunning,
yeah.
and it's chops for days and tasteful as anything.
Uh huh.
They're just beautiful player.
Yeah. Yeah. I was reading a little something, maybe an excerpt from a guitar magazine, him talking about stuff and you know, just being a musician, contemporary, you know, musician, and how you know do some live work, you do some YouTube stuff, and you know,
Yeah.
you know, it's interesting. The you know, back in the big band era, I mean, there were where people, you know, really had full-time gigs touring,
Yeah.
which people still do, but maybe not big bands too much, but somewhat. But anyway, kind of the point is, you know, sort of diversify into this world that we're living in now.
Yeah.
That's partly internet, and I'm not putting any words in his mouth. I'm just this is what I gathered from it. But,
yeah.
it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, and he's right. He does wonderful videos.
Yeah, yeah.
You know. Yeah.
And you mentioned Rick Beato interviewed him. I haven't checked that one out
Yeah,
yet.
I think last time I looked, I think it had over 1 million hits.
Wow.
Yeah.
I need to watch that.
Which is-
urgently.
It is. I'm a bass player and a really miserable guitarist. I'm just pointless on guitar. And I watch this and I'm ready to sell my stuff. It is breathtaking how good it is.
Yeah, yeah.
And the fact that he can stop and explain it.
Uh-huh. Very cool.
If it's theory or technique
Yeah.
or his mindset or however,
Yeah, nice.
he's really worked it out. He
Yeah.
obviously spent a lot of time
Yeah. Very cool.
figuring it out.
Yeah. Very
And
nice.
it's cool. And he also Beato did an interview with Matteo Mancuso and Mateus, I can remember his last name. He's a Brazilian guitarist.
Okay.
So Mateus plays with a pick. Matteo
Yeah.
plays
With
like,
the finger
like
style.
flamenco finger style.
Yeah.
So it's the two of them talking, both being ridiculous.
Uh-huh.
You know,
That's cool.
it's really fun to watch because
Yeah.
you're back and forth like, why do I try? Just why? Yeah, it's like watching the guys from Polyphia. It makes my eyes water because
Yeah.
it's not my favorite style of music, but it is impressive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think who else is out there. I'm very upset. Carlos Benevent and Richard Bono were in New York last week doing a gig,
Okay.
playing music of Paco de Lucia.
Nice.
I didn't find out about it till the day after.
Oh, okay.
Very annoyed
Yeah.
because that must have been spectacular.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And Bono is touring in the U.S. again.
Okay.
He's doing little dates here and there. He didn't for years because
Oh.
it was so frustrating.
Okay.
He just stopped.
You just stopped doing
He
it.
was like, "This is just not worth the hassle,"
Wow. Yeah.
which is too bad. So he's doing that.
Okay.
Yeah, Dirty Loops is on a small room tour,
Uh-huh.
like 2,000 seats or less.
Okay.
So they're coming to the Fillmore in Silver Spring, Maryland,
Mhm.
next month. I have tickets.
Okay.
I can't wait.
nice. Nice.
Then the next month at the Fillmore is the band Lawrence, one of my favorite bands. Check out their acoustic versions.
Okay.
They've done like 3 or 4 videos
Yeah.
live in the studio,
Yeah.
and it's the band and this group of singers that they work with.
Okay.
Really spectacular.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very
So
cool.
lots of coolness out there.
Yeah. From a gear point of view, I happened upon these. I think they're called Dingwall guitars.
Yeah.
I'm curious what you think about
I
those.
love
I forgot to
Dingwalls.
bring that up earlier.
I tried a Dingwall on the early on.
Okay.
It's Sheldon Dingwall,
Okay.
and he's from Saskatoon, Regina, Canada.
Okay.
I only know this because that's where my mother was from. It's in the middle of the prairie. I mean, seriously, it is. Draw a map of nothing, and in the
Yeah.
middle of nothing is Saskatoon. It's a beautiful place.
That's funny. I have a distant Canadian relative, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's out there. But Sheldon makes these astonishing basses,
Okay.
and all he does is fan fret.
Yeah, I noticed that the fan fret, which makes a lot of sense, I think,
Yeah.
for a 6-string
Well, even
lower
four,
register, or yeah, I guess anything, right?
anything, because he did. It used to be early on you could get traditional fretted or the fan fret,
Yeah.
but apparently nobody was ordering the traditional.
Okay.
But I remember trying an early Dingwall at a dealer down in Virginia,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Here, try this. Let me know what you think."
Okay.
And I sat down, literally 15 seconds,
Yeah.
and I'm like, "All right, this is perfect. This makes
Yeah.
sense."
And do they make it like guitars? They do not. They're
Just
all
basses.
Yeah. Okay.
They do like Lee Sklar
Mhm.
has a signature model.
Yeah. So I was watching an interview with him the other day. He
Yeah,
seems like a pretty cool guy.
everything Lee Sklar is worth watching.
Yeah.
He loves doing videos and stuff and doing interviews. And,
Yeah.
Lee is Ron Carter is the most recorded bass player in history.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Carol Kay is the most recorded studio bass player in history.
Yeah.
Lee Sklar is the most recorded electric bass player, period, in history.
Okay. Yeah. Nice.
He's done it.
He has that distinction.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And he's got this really long
Yeah, he's always
beard,
had the
so you can
beard. and
always-
It's just the hair goes into the beard, and
Yeah.
yeah, and he's very funny.
Yeah. Yeah. It is fun to watch.
Yeah.
Fun to watch the interview with him.
Yeah, and he'll do interviews with people who aren't famous.
Mm-hmm.
Like somebody will send him a message, say, "Could I interview you for my channel for like 10 minutes?" And he's like, "Yeah, okay."
That's pretty cool.
Because he's been out. He's Phil Collins' bass player forever and ever and ever.
Yeah.
Last year he did pretty much all the Lyle Lovett
Mm-hmm.
tour.
Yeah.
You know, he's on all the Jackson Browne stuff. He's on everybody's.
Yeah. Yeah. And Lyle Lovett, who is he married to?
He was married to Julie Roberts
Oh, okay.
for a long time, but
Okay. I'm
that-
thinking Elvis Costello.
yeah,
Elvis
Elvis.
married to Diana Krall.
Right.
So I thought I would circle that back
Yeah,
to jazz, but yeah.
I'm trying to figure out really homely guy, really hot woman. Something's not lining up.
Yeah, I did see Lyle Lovett one time, and I was playing on a cruise ship, and they brought on like these the sort of music festival,
Right.
and we so basically got a week off, and I got to watch a bunch of people. But it was a really good band. I thought
Yeah.
it was really
He have his large band.
yeah.
The
That's
large
right.
band is fun.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen him with the small band. I've seen him with the large band.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorite artists
Mhm.
because I love his songwriting.
Yeah.
It's very clever, very funny.
Yeah.
For years, he split a tour with Bonnie Raitt,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
and they alternate who opens.
Okay.
So who does?
Oh,
Who
that's
goes for?
cool.
It's like
I
Earth,
like
Wind, and
that.
Fire in Chicago.
Yeah.
They alternate
Uh-huh.
each concert.
Oh, very cool.
And the first time I saw Lyle Lovett a million years ago in the '80s at Wolf Trap, still remember. I remember one thing from the '80s.
Yeah.
He walks out and he's like, "Hi, my name's Lyle Lovett. This is my hair. It has its own personality disorder." I knew I liked him right there. So it's,
Yeah, I enjoyed his stage presence a lot.
yeah, he's very funny, very dry, and his band can swing.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
They were on it. Yeah.
Yeah. So Lee Sklar has been doing that tour. Yeah, he just tours with all
Yeah.
the very biggest acts.
Yeah.
That's him. So go listen to everything Lee Sklar says.
Yeah.
He's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. Yeah. So we've got Let's see. I think we talked about Dreamsville a little bit on the member area. Did a little playing on that one. Beautiful tune. Henry Mancini. Oh, you were saying that Matteo Mancuso is a fan of Henry Mancini.
Well, no, it's Jacob Collier.
Jacob Collier. Okay,
Yeah,
I'm
Jacob
sorry.
Collier is a
Getting
fan
my-
of Mancini, which is why he did that version of Moon River
Oh, okay.
with
Gotcha.
like
gotcha.
1,400 individual parts that he
Yeah.
did. Which, again, if you haven't seen this, put on the headphones for this
Yeah.
because it is really, really amazing.
Yeah, and watch some of Jacob Collier's music videos, well, and the music obviously, but it ties in. It's pretty clever. And pretty
Yeah,
cool.
where he goes through and it just explains.
Yeah,
Yeah, for Moon River, which literally is thousands of parts.
yeah.
It's funny, the how-to video was like an hour and a half long.
Mm.
The track is like 8 minutes. But he goes through and explains
Yeah.
how,
And he does talks, right? Where he sits at a piano and he'll talk about theory and like his perspective on
yeah,
some things too.
Yeah,
It's pretty cool. So
it's
check
really-
that out.
really neat. And he had a tune that came out a couple months ago, I think, called Little Blue,
Okay.
which is just a lovely, just, one of these beautiful tunes.
Yeah.
And then he did this really cool thing where he went on Instagram because he's big on there. And he's like, okay, if anybody is available, I need a crowd. Meet me this day at this corner in London at this time. Wear blue.
Like a flash mob. Kind
Yeah.
Of thing.
And then he had booked this old church. And he had I think it's 60 people or something.
Yeah.
Showed up.
Uh-huh.
They went in. He set them all up. He taught them the song and then recorded it. And they're just singing notes, and he's conducting them while he's singing.
Oh, okay.
So they're just in this beautiful ancient space.
Just awesome reverb.
Yeah, it's just,
Yeah.
and there's no processing, there's no editing, there's
Wow.
just, and somebody who was in there, I saw a little interview that she gave. She said, we showed up, Jacob introduced himself to each of us. He set us all up. We went through the song once and then recorded it.
Very cool.
That was it.
That's awesome.
And
I love that.
It's beautiful. It's
Yeah.
absolutely beautiful. But the guy understands, and I'm getting back to Mancini with this. The guy understands what he wants with harmony and space.
Okay.
Mancini is the same way.
Mm-hmm.
It's harmony and space.
Yeah.
That's, you don't think of Mancini as particularly rhythmically driving. Although Peter Gunn and Pink Panther aside,
Yeah.
most of it is actually very kind of slowish, pretty
Yeah. Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
So he's playing with harmony. He's playing with space.
Yeah.
That's
And we talked a little bit about just thinking about three beats for a moment, and then almost like a measure of one, and
Yeah.
3 beats. I think that was a cool perspective.
Yeah, it's so interesting. Like I say, and looking at the lyrics against the melody,
Yeah.
you can really see where, he's thinking,
Yeah.
this was written to be sung.
Yeah. Words interconnected really with the melody, harmony,
Yeah, and
meter.
yeah, and definitely rhythmically with the words. He's very carefully,
Yeah.
like all these beats that happen on 4 are, I think all but one is a single syllable.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice.
So he's doing this long, short,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is really clever.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really cool. So I hope everybody enjoys that video that I put out. I think it was last Sunday or Monday.
Yeah, it's a
something like
beautiful
that.
version. I really like
Thanks.
that.
Yeah. So yeah, we were talking a little earlier about some of the intention behind doing a tune like this. I hope that folks kind of take that as a starting point and then change it and develop it into what they would like to do with it.
Yeah.
Also, one thing I aim to do is provide folks with something they could play on a gig that's not like a super involved arrangement that you'd have to teach or rehearse. You could do a little pickup gig and call Dreamsville and just like do
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's perfect. Yeah, very useful.
yeah. So
Yeah, that's
very cool.
and I was thinking something and it's left me, so never mind.
That's all right.
Uh,
We'll probably come back to you in the car.
In the
That's
car,
That's what happens to me
yeah.
all the time.
on the drive home.
Oh,
Um,
this thing was really clever. I could have said that at the very moment.
But yeah, I mean, Mancini is just fun. All
Yeah.
of it is. Maybe we should, as the year goes on, maybe look at a little more
Yeah,
Mancini.
yeah. More Mancini tunes.
Yeah, 'cause
Yeah.
It's there's clever, fun things. You know, I mean, we spent 2 or 3 minutes talking about the first two measures.
Yeah, we did. There's just so much to.
Yeah, I mean,
work with
there's
there.
4 notes and 3 chords.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Um,
So let us know in the comments how you're doing on this tune. Also, let us know if you're interested in excellent, high quality, durable cables.
yeah, give me a shout.
Yeah. As John makes those. This company,
Mhm.
Instrument
Instrument Audio. Yeah,
Yeah.
based just north of Baltimore and right near Hunt Valley.
Yeah.
So,
And you can, if you're not local, you can ship him your instrument to have set up
Yeah.
properly so it plays its best and sound its best.
yeah. Or if you don't want to ship and you want some advice about who to go see,
Yeah.
I know a lot of techs around the country. So, give me a shout, and if I can, we'll find you somebody to
Yeah.
to get you to the right place. It is really, really important, and you will be so much happier.
Yeah.
And a good instrument set up well is just such a pleasure to play.
Yep. And this includes guitars and bass.
And bass, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
pretty much if it has strings.
yeah. Very cool.
Yeah, I don't do uprights anymore. After I did mine, I used to do them, but there's
Yeah.
some really great upright luthiers,
Move ears. Yeah. Yeah.
and they're set up, and it's a specialty thing.
Yep.
And you need a really huge space.
Yeah. Nice. All right. Well, we'll call it a day for
Yeah.
today. But if you haven't already, like and subscribe and follow the channel and hope you enjoy all the tunes and stuff here. And thanks again, John, for coming
Oh,
out.
Thanks. Great to be back.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see you all in the next one.
See you next time.